Perfect, I said, staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, my voice steady despite the chaos erupting in my chest. Dark brown henna stains covered my face in crude, permanent patterns, deliberate marks my own parents had drawn while I slept. My name is Alexandra, and at 22, I just discovered how far my family would go to keep me from overshadowing my younger sister's college graduation. The henna they used wasn't the temporary kind used for beautiful traditional designs. It was a black market permanent dye, known for leaving lasting scars. My mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. Now you won't be a distraction at Sarah's graduation ceremony. You know how sensitive she gets when people pay more attention to you. I touched the dark patterns on my cheeks, forehead, and chin. They had planned this carefully. The graduation was in 3 days, and these marks would take months to fade, if they ever did. My perfectly clear skin, which had helped me build a successful modeling career alongside my studies, was now marred with irregular patterns. You'll thank us later, my father added from behind my mother. Family harmony is more important than your vanity. Sarah needs this moment to shine. I thought about all the times they had diminished my achievements to protect Sarah's fragile ego. When I made the dean's list while working part-time as a model, they didn't tell anyone because Sarah was struggling with her grades. When I landed a major campaign with a luxury brand, they asked me to postpone the billboard release because Sarah had just been rejected from her dream internship. But this permanently marking my face while I slept, this was different. Did Sarah know about this? I asked, still examining the marks in the mirror. Of course not, my mother scoffed. She's too kind-hearted. She would have tried to stop us. But she'll be grateful when all eyes are on her achievements instead of your face. I turned to face them, and something in my calm expression made my mother's smile falter slightly. They expected tears, hysteria, maybe even threats. Instead, they got complete composure. You're right, I said, pulling out my phone. This is perfect timing, actually. I have a meeting with my modeling agency today. My father's smug expression wavered. You can't go to the agency looking like that. Just take a break until it fades. I smiled, snapping a few selfies of my marked face. Oh, I'm definitely going. In fact, I'm going to document everything. The marks, how I got them, who did this to me. Everything. My mother's face paled. Alexandra, don't be dramatic. We did this for your sister. No, I replied, my voice ice cold. You did this for yourselves. You've always been jealous of any attention I receive. This isn't about Sarah, it's about control. I grabbed my bag and car keys, watching their confidence crumble as they realized I wasn't going to hide away as they planned. Where are you going? My father demanded. First, to the police station to file a report for assault, then to my agency. After that, maybe I'll visit Sarah at her apartment. I wonder how she'll feel knowing what you did to her overshadowing sister. You wouldn't? My mother gasped. It would ruin her graduation. I'm not the one who ruined anything, I said, walking past them. But don't worry, I'll make sure my scars tell the perfect story. As I drove to the police station, my phone kept buzzing with their messages. Please come home, we can discuss this. Think about your sister. Don't do anything rash. They had no idea that while they were busy plotting to mar my face, I'd been making plans of my own. 3 months ago, I discovered their group chat discussing ways to handle the attention problem. At Sarah's graduation, I'd seen the messages about permanent henna, the discussions about doing it while I slept. Instead of confronting them, I'd started gathering evidence. Screenshots of their conversations, recordings of their late-night plotting, even security camera footage I'd secretly installed in my room. They thought they were so clever, but they didn't know I'd been 2 steps ahead the entire time. I pulled into the police station parking lot, touching the marks on my face again. My parents thought they were writing a story of submission on my skin, but they had no idea they were actually creating the perfect canvas for my revenge. These scars wouldn't tell their story of family harmony. They would tell mine of survival and justice. The next 3 days would change everything, but not in the way my parents had planned. They wanted to dim my light to make Sarah shine brighter. Instead, they'd given me exactly what I needed to expose the darkness they'd been hiding all these years. I stepped out of my car, head held high, permanent marks and all. Let them think they'd won. Their victory would be as permanent as the henna they use on my face. The police station was quiet that morning as I filed my report. Detective Martinez's face darkened as I showed her the evidence, screenshots, recordings, and photos of my freshly marked face. "This is assault," she said firmly, documenting everything. "And the premeditation makes it worse." My phone kept buzzing. My mother's latest message read, "We did this because we love you and Sarah. Please don't ruin everything." I silenced the phone and headed to my next stop, Platinum Modeling Agency. Lisa, my agent for the past 3 years, gasped when she saw my face. Before she could speak, I pulled out my laptop. "Before you drop me, I have a proposal," I said, opening a presentation I prepared weeks ago. A campaign about survival, about turning scars into strength. Lisa leaned forward, her initial shock transforming into interest as I explained my vision. "You knew they were planning this?" she asked, scrolling through my evidence. "I found out 3 months ago," I replied. "Instead of stopping them, I decided to use it. These marks tell a story, just not the one they intended." 2 hours later, I left the agency with something much more powerful than a regular modeling contract. Lisa had connected me with major domestic violence prevention organizations. My story, and my marked face, would become part of a national campaign about family abuse and control. When I arrived at Sarah's apartment, she took one look at my face and burst into tears. "Oh my God, Alex, what did they do to you?" I sat with my sister, showing her everything, the group chats, the recordings, a long history of manipulation. "They did this to make sure I wouldn't overshadow you at graduation," I explained gently. Sarah's face crumpled. "I never wanted this. I know I've been insecure about standing in your shadow, but I never wanted you hurt." "I know," I said, hugging her. "That's why I didn't tell you they were planning it. You're not responsible for their actions." My sister pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I can't accept their graduation gift now, the new car, the expensive party they planned, not knowing what they did to you." "You don't have to punish yourself for their choices," I told her. "But I need you to understand something. I'm not hiding these marks. I'm not staying away from your graduation. What happens next is their fault, not yours." Sarah straightened up, something shifting in her expression. "Good," she said firmly. "I don't want you to hide. In fact," she grabbed her phone, opening her social media accounts with their thousands of followers from her university influencer days, "I want to help you tell the truth." My parents' phones started ringing minutes after Sarah posted our story. Their perfect plan was unraveling faster than the permanent henna could set into my skin. That evening, as Sarah and I sat in her living room planning our next moves, our phones lit up with a family group message. Mom had sent a long paragraph about forgiveness, about family unity, about how unfortunate decisions shouldn't tear us apart. Sarah replied first, "I'm returning the car. The graduation party is canceled. If you try to contact Alex or me before we're ready, the next post will include everything, including the recordings." I added, "The police report has been filed. The campaign shoots start next week. You wanted to make sure people noticed me at graduation. Congratulations, you succeeded." Mom started typing, stopped, started again. Finally, "Please let's talk about this as a family." "We are," Sarah responded, "just not the way you planned." Looking at my marked face in Sarah's hallway mirror, I saw something different now. Not the scars of subjugation my parents intended, but the beginning of a transformation. These marks would tell a story that needed to be told. About family abuse disguised as protection, about control masked as love. The campaign would launch 2 days before Sarah's graduation. Every major women's magazine had already picked up the story. My parents' attempt to dim my light had instead created a spotlight they couldn't escape. Sarah squeezed my hand as we looked at the preliminary campaign layouts. "You know what's ironic?" she said. "For years I thought I was in your shadow. But you're the one who's been fighting their shadows all along." My phone buzzed with another message from our mother. "Think about your future. These marks will fade, but the damage you're doing to this family will last forever." I showed the message to Sarah, and we both laughed, a sound of release, of bonds breaking, of truth finally emerging from years of careful manipulation. "They still don't get it," I said, touching the marks on my face. "These scars aren't my shame to hide, they're their shame to bear." The next 48 hours would bring chaos as the campaign launch and graduation approached. But for now, sitting with my sister, planning our stand against years of control and manipulation, I felt stronger than ever. My parents wanted to write their story on my skin. Instead, they'd given me the perfect way to tell mine. The day of Sarah's graduation arrived with the kind of perfect weather my parents had prayed for, but nothing else was going according to their plan. The campaign had launched yesterday, and my marked face was everywhere. Billboards, social media, news sites. The headline, "Parents Mark Daughter's Face to Dim Her Light," had gone viral. I stood in front of my mirror, applying makeup not to hide the marks, but to enhance them. The permanent henna patterns had become a symbol of survival, telling a story that resonated with thousands who'd reach out sharing their own experiences of family control. Sarah called as I was getting ready. "Mom and Dad are blowing up my phone. They're threatening not to come to the graduation if you're there." "What do you want me to do?" I asked, though I already knew her answer. "I want my sister there," she said firmly. "They're the ones who did this. They can deal with the consequences." The graduation ceremony was being held in the university's grand auditorium. As I walked in, whispers and pointing followed me, not of shame, but of recognition. The campaign had done its job. My parents' attempt to make me invisible had made me more visible than ever. I spotted them in the family seating area, their faces ashen when they saw me. My mother half rose, probably to make a scene, but my father pulled her back down. They'd finally realized that any public confrontation would only make things worse for them. The ceremony began, and when Sarah's name was called, I stood and cheered loudly. She looked radiant, confident, truly shining on her own terms. As she accepted her diploma, she turned to the audience and pointed directly at me, mouthing, "I love you, sis." The crowd, many of whom knew our story from the viral campaign, erupted in applause. During the reception, my parents tried to approach several times, but Sarah's friends formed a protective circle around us. They'd seen the campaign, and their loyalty was firmly with their classmate and her marked sister. "Alexandra," my mother finally managed to catch up to us near the refreshments. "We need to talk about this circus you've created. You're embarrassing the entire family." I turned to face her, making sure everyone nearby could hear. "Embarrassing the family? Like marking your daughter's face while she slept." "We did it because we love you both," she hissed, trying to keep her voice down. Sarah stepped between us. "No, Mom. You did it because you're controlling and abusive. Love doesn't leave scars." Our father appeared, his face red with suppressed rage. "Both of you outside. Now." Actually, came a voice behind them. "They're staying right here." It was Lisa, my agent, accompanied by a camera crew. "We're documenting the graduation for the campaign's next phase. Would you like to make a statement about why you marked your daughter's face?" They backed away, finally understanding the magnitude of their actions' consequences. Their perfectly crafted image of a loving family was shattered, replaced by the truth they tried so hard to hide. Later that evening, Sarah and I sat in my apartment, celebrating her graduation our own way, with pizza and childhood photos. We laughed at how young and innocent we looked, unaware of the manipulation that had been driving us apart. "I got a job offer," Sarah announced, showing me an email. "A domestic violence prevention organization. They want me to work on their youth outreach program." I hugged her tight. Look at us, both turning their plans upside down. My phone pinged with a message from Lisa. The campaign had reached over 10 million people in just 2 days. Organizations worldwide wanted to share our story. The marks on my face would fade eventually.